Hello everyone, this is Maurizio, Marketing Director at EPC, and today I am here in San Antonio, Texas at APEC conference, one of the most important power electronics conference worldwide. And I have the pleasure to be here with Nick Cataldo, Senior Vice President, Global Sales and Marketing at EPC. Hi Nick, how are you? How's it
Maurizio,
going? How's it
great
going?
to see you as usual. And these are great conferences for us. We always enjoy getting together here.
Yeah, sure. So, welcome to our GaN Wine Lounge. So
Thank you.
today I have prepared a couple of topics,
Okay.
questions to share with you. So let's start with the first one, an introduction also from you. You lived through different multiple technology shift in terms of super junction, in terms of silicon carbide, and now GaN. So which transition was the hardest for customer to trust?
Yeah. After 35 years plus, I think all of those technologies were challenging, but I would probably say GaN was the most challenging.
Yeah.
It required a different skill set from the engineering community. And in our case, it's a pretty broad market. We address 350 volts down to 15 volts. So we had to address even a bigger market than some of the other higher voltage devices. So I think there were lots of challenges educating the community for GaN.
So when you realize GaN, so when gallium nitride first appeared on your radar, first of all, and do you remember a particular moment when you saw that okay, GaN is not another promising technology, but is an important one?
Yeah. Well, Alex and I have a long-term relationship, and through those years, I heard a lot about GaN through Alex, and then I had my stint through silicon carbide, and I had an opportunity to compare silicon carbide versus GaN. And as I said, GaN had a wider acceptance from application
Yeah.
side. So it goes back probably 15 years ago that I knew silicon was hitting its barriers. And as usual, Alex was always on the forefront of technology. So GaN was the best choice.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So talking about GaN and looking back, how has EPC roadmap evolved? So from early moment to a broader markets such as I mean AI, such as
Yeah.
humanoid, a lot of application that we are showing in these days at APEC. And where do you see the most important, the most big adoption wave in terms of GaN, as I mentioned? Let me also say automotive as well.
Yeah, I think GaN has started out in some niche areas. In particular, we were in the lidar space for many years, and Alex had a great input with one of the CEO founders of a lidar company, and was one of the first to use
Hmm.
EPC GaN. And from that, we pretty much dominated the lidar autonomous market for many, many years. Wireless power was also another niche area for us. And wireless power took several paths, different paths, mostly on the lower cost side. But LIDAR continues to be a good area for us. But getting into the 48 volt to 12 really broke us into a huge market. It was really the DC to DC AI server value that we brought. Some of the big companies like NVIDIA certainly worked closely with us on defining some of those products. And automotive 48 to 12 became a good area for us to show our value. Uh, those continue to be good areas, but now with the AI drive, especially in autonomy as well as in the drone markets, motor drive is one of the fastest growing areas for GaN. And we've proven out the use of GaN in that market. And today at APEC here, we're announcing the EPC 91121
Yeah.
board, which is a three-phase, beautiful circuit design, 80 millimeter squared. Uh, and it's got everything on board for any design engineer to use GaN quickly in a motor application. And it's using one of our stellar new products we also announced this week, EPC 2366, 40 volt device, which goes up to about 50 amps RMS. which is significant in the industry. The RDS for that device is less than a milliohm. Incredible. It's like 89 microohms. So, EPC continues to see that market evolving with all the motorized, untethered products in the industry. More and more devices for efficient power is needed, and we find ourselves in another growing area. And as we go down in the lower voltages, we're opening up 15-volt markets for POL, which is one of the biggest markets for MOSFETs as well. So
Yeah.
I think we have great opportunities ahead.
GaN is continuing to kill the MOSFET, let's
Yes,
say.
yes.
So, and in terms of 91121, so shortly on YouTube, our YouTube channel, you will find a video review about this board that Nick mentioned. So, in terms of again, engineers are talking about RDS on, as you mentioned, but what about cost? So, who actually decide about adoption? How you convince people to move from silicon MOSFET to GaN?
Yeah. So it's been a age-old challenge in my career is working with designers who love products, and then it gets to a procurement department that looks at cost only. And what really sells the technology, all the technologies that I've sold, is adding value to the end product. Once you add that end value, it's hard for a procurement officer to turn down a technology, especially if system costs are driven down by the solution. In the case of GaN products, they shrink the designs, the inductors, the magnetics come down in size, thermal efficiencies go up,
Yeah.
power efficiency goes up. So it's hard for, an engineer to stand next to a procurement guy and say, we have to use this, and pennies mean something to every market, but we usually win out with those designs, and that's what's been happening in the last 5 to 10 years.
Do you think that in the next 10 years, designers will still debate in terms of silicon versus silicon carbide versus GaN, or the market at the end will be naturally separated?
Yeah, I think you'll see a natural separation. There'll always be a need for silicon MOSFETs. In the consumer space, naturally, they still have applications, but you have wide band gap products that also create niche. Silicon carbide, certainly in the higher voltage space, automotive industry will drivetrains, things like that will continue to use silicon carbide. But GaN is also taken on a new area for higher voltage, where we do some multi-level products with low voltage GaN. So that brings costs down, brings the size of the design down, and so people are starting to look at GaN even for higher voltage. So I think the natural evolution will be for new designers that have studied GaN will want to use GaN. And speaking of learning GaN, we have our fourth edition
Yes, this one.
book that we put out that many universities adopt to learn about GaN. And there's so much information that Alex and his team have worked on for 18 years, including 18 phases of reliability data, which is bar none in the industry. Many of the universities, as well as top OEMs, come to Alex for advice on reliability, long-term effects. We do test to fail, which is something that was created by
Yeah.
Alex and the team. It takes it outside data sheet limits, which is bar none the best way to test your products. Test it until it fails. And so we learned about the failure mechanisms in GaN, and who else better to know about it than Alex and his team?
Yeah, and indeed, we posted the press releases on the Phase 18 report about reliability. You can find on our website, epc-co.com, the latest press, and please download the latest report. So, in conclusion, Nick, after 35 years of experience, what surprised you the most about the industry, and what skills separates from great technical leaders from average ones?
So the surprise mechanism after 35 years, you become used to it. So it's not a surprise that people will resist change, people will resist new, unproven technologies. So the model is the same. You've got to prove the technology, you've got to do your reliability work, you got to show your quality benefits. No one's going to use new technology until it's fully vetted. And so I think the surprise factor is not there. I tell all my junior FAEs and junior salespeople, you'll get some pushback, but, show the data. We have valid data. We have, you know, 18 years of studies and analysis and proven data behind it, and that goes a long way. As far as a salesperson or an FAE, what makes them successful, being an FAE myself, starting out in the industry, is listening to your customers. It makes a world of difference if you roadmap share with your customer. They have a vision for the next 2 to 5 years. You align with them in those 2 to 5 years, and you build the best of the best products. Even though the technology speaks for itself, it has to adapt to certain applications. And the customer knows best what those applications are. And we learn a heck of a lot from our key customers. So I would say listen, listen, listen. If you're a starting out FAE or salesperson, that's my advice after 35 years.
Thank you so much, Nick. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Maurizio.
And have a good day at APEC.
Thank you.
Thank you.